Dallas Cowboys this morning after Ezekiel Elliott had himself what I think we can call a slow start to the season. 11 carries, 33 yards against the Bucs, both the third lowest totals of his career. Zeke's not having it. Here was his response yesterday.
No football. If you are in this building, then you can tell that someone can have a solid game without, having the best statistics. I mean, if you don't understand that, then you probably should study a little more.
All right, Greg. A lot of pass protection duties when your quarterback throws it 58 times. What did you make of what Zeke had to say, his comments there?
Everything he said is fact, is true. However, he's talking to individuals who are not in the locker room, who are not in that film study room, who are not studying the film that you all just put out there, but you are. And so what he's given us is coach's talk. But what the reality is going into that game, he wasn't concerned about how am I going to grade out when we review this tape? Am I going to get a good grade no matter what my statistics are? The fact of the matter is everyone watching this game, including myself, including Ezekiel Elliott, is really basing my performance, whether it's good or bad or moderate, based off of my production. And my production, what jumps out to us more than anything? The stats, how I look at my position and what those stats matter and how they look. And so for him, it's rushing the football. It's catching the football out of the backfield. Look, I don't care what he says. It is true, but it's true for everybody in that locker room watching that film. And he's giving us what the coaches have now told him to make him feel better about his production. The reality of the matter is I still go to the grocery store. Yesterday, I was in the grocery store, and I'm there during the busiest time of the day, and the lines, it seems like that's when they have the least amount of checkout lines. I don't care how many amount of checkout lines there are if the cashier actually can get everybody through. Now, from a managerial standpoint, she's doing great. She's cordial with everybody. She's treating everybody with respect. But I'm at the back of that line thinking, the level of production is based on how fast you can get these people through this line so I can get up. And so that's Ezekiel Elliott. I don't care about what you did and what the results were and the grading scale was in the locker room and in the film study. My grading scale is based on, did you produce the stats, man? And he didn't.
Correct. And Greg, I want to give Zeke credit because the glaring play was the goal line play where the safety took him down. Blake Jarwin missed a block, and Zeke took full accountability. He's like, listen, I'm one-on-one with the DB. I need to shift the ball to my other hand and get in the end zone. So he understood even though someone else didn't do their job, he could have done his job more. And Zeke is not specifically speaking to me when he says this, but he could have been because I've been very hard on Zeke. But I've been hard on Zeke because while in individual samples it is correct, the numbers can be misleading. Over the breadth of, I don't know, a 6-year trajectory, the numbers are not going to be misleading. And we can show the trajectory, and it's one direction.
33.
And that, yes, there are isolated incidents of not my game, not this, but that works, that cuts the other way as well, Wilds. There are also great games you have where you probably actually didn't play that great. It all came because you had a defensive missed assignment that led to a 70-yard run, and it inflated all the numbers even though you didn't do much. So that usually evens out in the wash. And if the question is, can the Cowboys rely on Zeke moving forward? My answer to that is unequivocally and resoundingly no. I do not think Ezekiel Elliott is anywhere close to what he was his rookie year, the best back in football. I do not think Ezekiel Elliott is anything what he was his third year, a top 5 back in football. And right now, this moment, I think there is a better argument to be made that he might not be the best back on his team than there is that he's a top 10 back in football. That's a problem. And that's a problem because he is going to be a Dallas Cowboys running back this year and next year, and with the way the contract is, maybe even the year after. And they are not paying him that wild to pick up the blitz. They're paying him that to, eat the soup in the end zone or the cereal, whatever he eats in the end zone. It's been so long, I forgot what it is, and to score touchdowns. And so I know that seems very basic analysis, but when a running back is playing great, and it's been a long time since Zeke played great, Wilds.
Okay, so I think you make fair points, but Broussard, here's my issue. If someone said, hey, is Nick Wright tall? You would say, yeah, I think so. But if I show you a picture of Nick Wright next to Shaq, you're like, no, actually pretty short. That's what Zeke was against the Bucs. The Bucs had the number one rushing defense in 2019. They had the number one rushing defense in 2020, and they'll probably have the number one rushing defense this year. So the fact that he didn't have a productive game this last Thursday, I'm not willing to weigh that against his downward slope. We know that he came into camp, he lost a bunch of weight, he looked explosive, and he did his job. If anything, we have a PR problem from Zeke, that he said something that sort of riled the people up, specifically at the media, and the media likes to attack. They don't like to get attacked. So it's you need to study football. It's let me dig in on you now, Zeke. If he simply said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I have to do to win the game. If you want me selling hot dogs in the stands, I'll go out and do that. It's about the win. So did I have a good game? No, because we lost. I'm only concerned about that. Everyone would be fine with that. Rob Gronkowski is one of the best tight ends ever. Belichick had plenty of games where he had 1 or 2 targets. And you know what he said? Yeah, it's my job to block too. So I'm okay with Zeke saying this, and the fact that they played the number one rushing defense for the last 2 years, soon to be 3 years, not fair to judge him yet.
Well, first of all, props, Wilds. I mean, the way you just sunned Nick, that was excellent. You did it nicely and kindly. I don't even think Nick knows you just sunned him. That's how smooth it was. So great job by you. But Nick is stunned. Right in this. Nick is right in this regard. They're not paying Zeke $90 million to pass block and be a tempting decoy. They're just not. All right. And I guarantee you, and Greg Jennings, you know this, I bet you Zeke has never in his life gone into a game with that mentality. Exactly. I can have a great game if I only have 30 yards rushing, right? He wants to break long runs. He wants 100 yards. Correct. He wants to cross the goal line. And I guarantee you, if he's went for 120 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, but missed a couple blocks or, didn't grade out well in other areas, he'd probably be fine with that because we all are about the statistics. So, look, here's the challenge for Zeke. They've now become Dak's team, and they're going to pass the football a lot, obviously. He's always been better in carries 11 through 20 versus carries 1 through 10. Not unlike many of the greatest running backs of all time, he gets better and gets more of a rhythm as the game progresses. So, I think they got to go back to some of that. Can you get Zeke 15 carries and see what he can do? I think he'll be better off if he does get those carries. I'm not with Nick that he's toast, but I don't think he's the back he was 3 years ago. But, Greg, I still think he can be very productive.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's toast. Wilds, yes, he did go up against a great defense, but going into that game, we don't care. All we care about is, can we see something that shows us a sign, a flash of, okay, Ezekiel Elliott, he might be something this year if the defense wasn't that great. But he didn't do that. And Broussard, you mentioned something about the carries. It reminds me of Adrian Peterson, even Barry Sanders at times. We knew their offensive line. We knew sometimes their offensive line was poor, but we always knew that there was that opportunity, that chance that they're going to do something special. We never questioned whether or not they were still great. Ezekiel Elliott, him mentioning, I can have a solid performance. Yeah, that's for solid running backs. But you got paid like a great running back, a top-tier running back. That is the expectation that we've set. That's the expectation that not only we've set, but he set for himself. And so you got to give us something. I don't care if it's a flash, a breakthrough run. He didn't do any of those things. So that leaves us to question, is he still the same back?
That's right.
All right, well, you mentioned the defense. The Cowboys lost a big piece of that defense yesterday. Pro Bowl DN DeMarcus Lawrence broke his foot in practice. Means he'll be sidelined for the next 6 to 8 weeks. He did tweet, "We'll be back and ready for war, believe it." But, Greg, I'll go back to you. This is a big blow. How much added pressure is on Dak and the Cowboys offense now after Lawrence broke his foot?
You know, right off the gate, we automatically think, okay, Dak and the offense has to step up. They got to score more points. But for me, understanding the way the game works, it's not on Dak. This is going to be a lot more pressure on Brent Urban, Randy Gregory, those Micah Parsons, Van Der Esch, those guys, and particularly Dan Quinn, to now create pressure, put those guys in situations where they can be successful. You're not going to account for the amount of sacks that this guy is going to get, because those shoes are big to fill and almost too big to fill with one guy. But collectively, they can get pressure on the quarterback. They can be in position to where their defense doesn't have such a great drop-off when it comes to the pass rush and defending the run, because you miss that caliber of player. But this is going to be on Dan Quinn to put together a scheme now that puts guys in a great position to be productive as if he was on the field.
All right, a lot on the play for the Cowboys. Let's stay in the NFC East. Talk some Giants, specifically Danny Dimes. Is his future under center for the Giants